Hi, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, inviting you to check us out with Straight Talk each and every Tuesday from 7 until 8. That's myself, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shannon E. Jones, asking you to share with your Facebook friend. And if you'd like to be a guest on the program, all you got to do is go to straighttalk1362@gmail.com. That's straighttalk1362@gmail.com. Or you can call 443-080795. It's Straight Talk.
Now tune in to Straight Talk Live with Greg Fann, where you are invited to have open discussions of topics ranging from social, political, economics, religious, or just open dialogue. So now, let's get to talking with Greg.
Well, welcome today to another edition of Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shannon E. Jones. You know, before I bring Shannon on, I am going to have my Stiller come because I am a Stiller fan. He'll be coming on momentarily. We got a great program for you today. I mean, so much is going on in the political arena with the policies, with with the president counting that the votes were wrong, and there's just so much going on. And so we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about various different things, and certainly you can call in at 443-080795, 443-080795 today, and lend your voice to the discussion. Love to have you to be a part of the discussion today. All right, this is Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shannon E. Jones. Or you can email us at Straight Talk, that's Straight Talk 1362@gmail.com. That's Straight Talk @gmail.com. All right, and here is my co-host and the man who has a wealth of knowledge and information. His name is Shannon E. Jones, and hopefully today he won't throw too many people in the trash can. But knowing Shannon, he probably will. Before we bring Shannon on, we want to show a Man in the Street segment with yours truly, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Brother Robert Ezel and the Sigma and the Zeta as they were out registering people to vote this weekend. Then we'll bring on Shannon along with Bishop Aaron B. Lackey and Pastor Lee May. All right, Greg Fann here with Brother Robert Easton and his group. They're out here registering people to vote on this last. What the day? Tomorrow's the last day, isn't it?
Tomorrow's the last day. We're here basically trying to encourage people to take advantage of the voting system. It's your voice, your way of letting your voice be known and of things that you want to happen. We are here to just encouraging people to take advantage of these last day of eligibility tomorrow to get in the mix. We are encouraging people, of course, if you don't feel comfortable coming out to vote, do the absentee ballot. We feel that it is a safe alternative to coming out for some of the elderly people. And what have you, and we want to just let our voices be heard. That's the main reason we're here. Just reminding people you have a voice, and voting is that voice.
Well, you know, one of the things that I think that a lot of people realize from this last election that absentee ballot wasn't a bad thing.
No, no.
And I mean, people thought, well, you know, if I vote absentee, my voting will be counted. But it looked like to me, the president messed up, didn't he? By telling people not to vote absentee.
I think he perhaps misguided his constituents. But, you know, being a fraternity, we don't necessarily talk partisans, but we will deal with some facts.
Okay.
And the facts are that absentee ballot is a safe mechanism for casting your ballot. Oftentimes, and we were lucky because, to a certain degree, because the ballot this time wasn't too long. But on some of these long ballots, I think people go into the ballot box and they are intimidated by that ballot. They have not seen it. They are not aware of what's on there. But to have that luxury of sitting at your kitchen table, dining room table, and being able to peruse that ballot and take your time, that's very good. That's very good. I found that experience of absentee ballot because I did it for the primaries I did it for the general election. Now, of course, with the runoffs we had recently, of course, they did not send out absentee ballot, so I voted in person. But I have already received my ballot for the runoff on January 5th, and I'm just waiting to fill it. Just sit down and fill it out. It's just a quick thing. I find the process to be pretty good. And I'm an East Point resident, and I'll either go to College Park Library or to the East Point Library and drop my ballot off. And I feel safer in that system. I think Secretary of State Raffensperger did an excellent job in carrying out the vote and doing all he could to make sure everyone's vote was counted. We have had some problem with disenfranchisement in the state of Georgia. And I'm just so glad that we have a Secretary of State now who sees the importance of every vote counting and everyone having a voice. But then you can't have a voice unless you speak it. You have to speak truth to power. You have to be heard. And voting is one of those ways of doing that.
Well, let me just show you this right here. I'm gonna put it in front of the screen. See, this is mine right here. You know, I keep my peace when I vote. I know you guys do too, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
But thank you so much, Robert.
Thank you.
And thank you for the work that you're doing and all you guys, because it's important.
And of course, our sisters, again, if you see a Sigma, you have to see a Zeta.
All right.
So we are sisters and brothers, and we work together as family.
All right. Well, it's important. On the Straight Talk program, and that's what you guys will be on, our Straight Talk program with Shannon and myself, is that what I say to people is, people say, if you don't vote, you don't count. If you don't vote, you don't matter to yourself. Because voting is about you individually. It's not about anything else other than you. Because those people who sit in office, they really control your life and your destiny by the policies they make. But thank you so much.
Thank you again, Reverend Fann. Thank you for the opportunity to have our voices be heard today.
All right. Y'all be good now.
Thank you.
God bless.
All right.
We are now on the air because we care, and of course we have a special guest today. Don't worry about Shannon. You know, you won't throw somebody in the trash can anyhow. He'll do that later on. But we got Bishop Lackey. We got Bishop Lackey and Lee May, both bishops. Bishop, we're glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
And we're glad to have Lee May, Pastor Lee May. And Lee, you're doing a great work in terms of this election. You know, we want to talk a little bit about last night's debate. Bifako. Shannon, I'm going to let you talk about it first because you love to talk. Go on, talk, Shannon. Go on, talk.
Was it a debate? I mean, was it a debate? It was not. I mean, he was talking to a robot. Liberal, radical Raphael Warnock. I mean, it was like the Mercurian candidate or something. I don't know what was going on last night, but I think that Dr. Warnock certainly. What do you think, Lee? I think he handled himself well. He did not alienate any of the Democratic moderates or the Republican moderates, and he just stayed on message. And I think that he did a good job last night.
Yeah, I think he did a good job. You know, like all of us spectators, we always have those moments where we say, "Oh man, you should have said this," or "You should have came back this way." But he did good overall. He did good. He stuck to his point, and yeah, I really feel like she was more like she had her one or two things that she was going to say over and over and over again. And all of that. I still think it's unfortunate that they won't acknowledge the results of this election, which means she won't acknowledge the results of her election. You know, and that's unfortunate. The same elections that have gone on decades and decades before, even regardless of whatever issue was, the same election that elected President-elect Joe Biden, that has put these two in a runoff, Trevor Warnock and Kelly Loeffler John Ossoff and David Perdue, same election. Now there's issues, let's be clear. There's always been issues. But nonetheless, this is the democracy that we have, and we're going to rock with until there's some changes, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. What do you think about the, and we won't stay there, but what do you think about his answer regarding the courts?
Well, it's a catch-22. You know, I don't think for anyone. So there's a stability of the highest court in the land, right? That tries to be apolitical as much as possible. But we always know that there's an underlying current of politics. I mean, the very nature of them getting appointed and confirmed to be on the United States Supreme Court is political. A political candidate, a political person appoints them, and then a whole bunch of politicians ask all these tough questions, and these political people vote them in or out. So that's just a reality. But there's been so much, you all, that has been done to affect the nature of these courts, these federal courts, both the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals, and all the federal court positions as well, that I think you do have to consider, do you want to make some adjustments on the court? You know, the Constitution allows there to be made adjustments. And so I just think, you know, not everybody's going to be happy with one way or the other, but I think it's a fair conversation to have about that, and some people may not even know fully what they believe about that.
What it is. Let me just ask you one last question. Bishop is back with us.
Yeah, and see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut him off before he asks the last question.
Let me ask you one last, the co-host. Let me ask you one last one. Have you ever been in a debate? Have you ever had a have you ever been in a, Lee May, have you ever been in a debate?
Has he ever?
I know he has. I know he has. But I just want to ask one. Have you ever been in a debate?
You in a debate now?
How can somebody, talking about Kelly Leffer, last thing, coming to Bishop, how can somebody be in a debate for an hour and never answer one question?
I know, right? Yeah.
Wouldn't you have liked to have had some debates like that when you didn't have to answer one question?
Well, I had debates like that. Well, and here's the thing. I've had debates where people just didn't even know what they were talking about. They're talking about stuff that they would do, that the position that we were running for, that I had, that you couldn't even do. So, so the challenge is, even when the people that are on the other side of the debate refuse to ask those questions, how do you now challenge them to either continue to not answer or force them to answer or possibly look like a fool? And I think that was his challenge last time. And let's be clear also, there's an underlying current on, you know, on not alienating people, you know, at the same time wanting to bring them in. But at the end of the day, y'all, it's about turning out debates. And so I know last night was a debate, and you always want to be able to bring somebody over to the side, but I think we're well past it. I applaud Reverend Warnock for answering his questions and being thoughtful about it, but at the end of the day, y'all, you got people who came out to vote November, you got to get them to come back out in January. And that's why we're doing the work that we're doing with churches and trying to organize pastors and churches to get people back out in January.
Well, Lee, let me just say this, you know, and also, you know, Shannon and I, you know, I'm Jose, that's Pat. I'm Pat, Jose. It's just depending on what day it is.
I love it.
But seriously though, one is, and Bishop, certainly I want you to jump in too, because you are the presiding prelate of the United Churches of God in Christ. And you know, you have a lot of ministers and pastors under you as a bishop in that organization. What is the sense that you feel that the preachers are feeling as it relates to the message that Leffler is trying to say, a liberal and a radical, in terms of trying to make one look like he's something that he's not?
Well, I think with any of us as preachers, especially black preachers, if you take a clip of a sermon on any given Sunday, you can turn us into whatever you want us to become. So I don't think too much of that, and most preachers and most of the preachers that I've talked with, we just understand preaching, so we don't think too much of that. But the challenge has been making sure we're communicating what we understand to the flock, so that the flock won't hear this one statement and think that this man has a warped worldview, when in essence he was preaching about something, and his focus, his mind was on what he was preaching about, the subject he was preaching about, and every point was leading to that particular topic. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he's against the military, or he's against this, or he wants Ted, before Ted changes, before he gives it to Labat, he want him to just open up the jail and let all of the people out, our children out. So you got people who are hearing these things and they're thinking, man, is that what he's that's what he wants? He wants the jail emptied? No, I mean, let's get real. But that was whatever the sermon he was preaching that day, it was reinforcing something he was preaching.
Well, one of the things that I want to say in terms of that, when you talk about, we're all ministers, all four of us are ministers. When you talk about the black experience, you're talking about the black experience, our culture. We come from the perspective of liberation and deliverance, based on the Hebrew and the Israelites. The Hebrews and the Egyptians. We were in bondage. If you've never been in bondage, you don't understand a deliverance message, the kind of message he's talking about. And talking about setting people free in jail, when now the federal government is talking about decriminalizing marijuana, when most of our black kids are in jail because of marijuana. So when you start talking about that and being a preacher and understanding that, then we can relate to that in terms of why he was saying what he was saying. Because a lot of those kids that are in jail should not be in jail, and should not be spending those long sentences that they've been given. Right. I have a son, and this is my testimony. I have a son who did 15 years in jail for some marijuana. 15 years to the door. As a young man, for some marijuana. Now, there's a lot of folks who've been in jail today for some marijuana, and I ain't gonna call no name, but there's a lot of folks who have been in jail for marijuana had they been caught. They're either caught and those who are not caught. But our young kids who go to jail for marijuana, when we know that their kids will have heroin and cocaine and crack and everything, and they get less time or no time.
But that's an illness, though. Right. That's an illness when they are addicted to those drugs. Right. They have to get rehabilitated, get treatment.
Okay, Bishop, I understand. I understand they need treatment. We just need to go to jail to go to work for free.
That's opiate addiction. Opiate addiction.
Leave by the Chris. So let me say something.
And you got to connect so many things in terms of our understanding of policy connects, right? So let's be clear. The number of mental health issues in our community that goes undiagnosed, that goes untreated, but yet goes undiagnosed and untreated because we don't have, to the level that we should, access to healthcare, affordable access to healthcare. And so when you talk about the whole drug conversation, how much of that is just people self-medicating? And because we don't have affordable access to healthcare, because we don't go to the doctor the way that we should, now we have this issue of self-medicating. Now you deal with an unjust criminal justice system that treats crack cocaine more harshly than powder cocaine, or treats marijuana usage so much differently, as if it's a violent offense or things like that. It's all interconnected, and we got to deal with policy issues that addresses the whole scale of things. So if we're talking about doing away with the Affordable Care Act, what kind of impact is that going to have on a litany of areas, where our community is concerned, So all that's connected. We got to be diligent about really speaking to those areas.
But Lee, you and I know we've been elected, so we understand policy and creating policy. But we also know too is that things change when it's beneficial for the other people to make money off of something. It's like black folk make money off the numbers. They took over the numbers. Black folk make money off of corn liquor. They took over liquor. I mean, so anything that we've been able to, oxtail, we had oxtail. Now you can't even buy oxtail. I mean, anything that we have done, taking nothing and made something out of it, now they come in to make more and more money off of what we have done. And I want to thank Pastor Warnock for staying on his message, because he stayed on message, what he wants to do for the least, the less, the lost, and the left out. But I want to change this conversation just a little bit for Warnock. I want to talk about this Ossoff and Leffler's race. Why won't this man debate? Why won't he debate? He's not debated at all.
Because he doesn't want to self-incriminate himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because
that's a good point, Jen.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to expand on that, but yeah, the target of the campaign against David Perdue was that insider trading. He got information as a United States Senator that he used to benefit himself financially, trading, selling off stocks and things like that based upon information that he received. Now he'll say a nonpartisan committee vindicated him of all kind of things. First of all, that's not completely true, and then second of all, if he gets in the debate and has to fully respond to that, that's why his responses are only through his commercials.
Right.
He doesn't want to have to respond one-on-one, because guess what? That's on record. Now the FBI starts listening and says, well, wait a minute. You told us in this interview, because we don't know what kind of interviews he's had to go through in terms of an investigation. You told us one thing over here, but yet in the interview you said this. Now which one is, I think it's all about that more so of just not wanting to debate. Because debating is old school. That's been going on since the beginning of politics happened.
Right.
I don't know that he's necessarily scared of John Ossoff. I think he's more concerned about self-incriminating himself for actions that he's taken that normal people like us can't take, right? Because we don't get that same kind of information. Right. Plus, we don't have a stock portfolio that's in the 7 and 8 digits, right?
Well, then let's go back to Mrs. Loeffler, who was on the committee, who got the information, who said that she didn't use the information, but yet she get over like a fat rat, and all of her friends and family and everybody else get over like a fat rat when businesses are closed out. When she makes a statement that she has helped businesses and kept businesses going, it wasn't the mom and pop businesses. It wasn't the businesses that were in our
multi-million-dollar business.
It was the multi-million-dollar businesses that she made sure that they got that money.
That's why she's the appointed senator. She's the appointed senator by Brian Kemp, because her husband and she are investing in the state of Georgia. And so with the money that they're bringing into the state, that's why this governor wasn't listening to Trump about Doug Collins, because Doug Collins could not do for the state of Georgia what a man who owns the New York Stock Exchange could do for the state of Georgia.
Say that again. The man
owns the New York Stock Exchange, which I didn't know that you could own the New York Stock Exchange, but they do. So that's why Kelly Loeffler is in that place, and it was just really interesting to hear this kind of. Well, let's jump back to the day before. So the 2 days before, the day before, the president goes to Valdosta, and he's supposed to be there for David Perdue and for Kelly Loeffler. He talks. For real.
I thought he was there for himself.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was there for them. I thought he was there for himself.
So
I thought he was trying to get Georgia now to change their process in terms of the electoral.
Well, ultimately, that's what he wants.
Okay.
The schedule didn't say that.
I just want to make
the
sure.
schedule said POTUS travels on Air Force One to Valdosta, Georgia for a campaign rally for Kelly Loeffler and Perdue. But he's got his own agenda. And his agenda is that he wanted to come down and he wanted to really relitigate the case as to why he's not president of the United States of America. He gave them 2 minutes, but I watched Perdue. Perdue goes up and he says, hold on, Georgia, I just want to say something. Hold on, everybody, be quiet. I just want to say something to President Trump. Everybody be quiet. I just want to say this to President Trump. And the people are chanting, fight for Trump, fight for Trump, fight. And he can't get them to be quiet. So he turns around and he says, I just want to thank you. And he goes on and on and on. And she was over there like a tired of time, doing. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, what was, so when I heard her robotically say, liberal radical Raphael Warnock, and continues to keep saying that, I have to think about the more than 72 million people who have left the Republican Party. Many of them, maybe not 72 million of them, but a great number of them have really left the Republican Party and joined the Retrumplican Party. And they are actually listening to, and so when we're trying to reason, well, Raphael Warnock was preaching a sermon, or this, that, and the other, you can't take that literally. But for a culture of people that now consider Fox News to be fake news, if Trump says it is, okay, which we always knew Fox News was fake news.
But that was Roger Goodell with that, right?
But yeah, but
when he was there, that's when it was fake news.
It's fake news.
Fake news. Yeah, so he lost his partner, so now it's fake news.
So when you have a whole people that are brainwashed into this, what Kelly Loeffler said last night hit home to people that we would sit up and say, oh, nobody listening to that. Just a few folk, they know she's this. But no, she's speaking the coded language that the Republican Party told her to speak if she wants to stay in line with what Donald Trump has built and what he's building, which is beyond the presidency of the United States.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a neo-Confederacy movement.
Well, let's not the neo-Confederacy and all that. We're trying to bring back the old South all over the United States.
It ain't never went nowhere.
Well, the old South. I mean the old South. I'm talking about the old South. You know what I mean? You don't know nothing about the old South.
We can't pull Mr. CEO and Mr. CEO didn't sign up for. We can't pull him into all this. He got good Southern folk that love him.
Look at you don't know nothing about riding the back.
Look at him. He didn't cross his hand. He don't let us talk. He ain't getting into all that.
Let me tell you something. He never rode the back of the bus. He don't know nothing about no back of the bus. I don't know why he wants to go there. Leave that alone, young man. But anyway, Lee, thank you so much for joining us.
No, but we got to understand, y'all. We got to understand that this thing is bigger than Raphael Warnock.
Sure.
It's bigger than John Ossoff. It's bigger than Joe Biden. It's bigger than Kamala Harris. Y'all, this is about the people. The people, y'all, that we have to serve, and we have to make sure that we're focusing on the least, the lost, the left out, and that we are supporting policies that really pour and invest in the lives of people that don't always have a voice for themselves. You know what I mean? And so yeah, there have been candidates that doesn't really care about them. They'll say this whole thing of make America great again. It doesn't look like anything that reflects the least, the lost, the left out to me.
Right.
And that's not even just about black folk. I'm talking about people who just don't have. The people that go to those rallies that you just finished talking about, Shannon. The people that need help more than anybody. This is about them too, unfortunately, even if they don't fully understand it for themselves. And we really got to focus on getting our people out to vote on January the 5th, on or before January the 5th, and then not just stopping there. So even beyond this election, we got to stay engaged and focus on making sure that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are putting forward an administration that fully reflects the needs of this nation. You know what I mean? And so we can't just stop at this election. we got to look at their policies. And unfortunately, y'all, you know, we keep talking about getting back to the traditions of this country, get back to normalcy. Well, I got a note for many of your viewers and listeners. Normalcy and tradition still doesn't help us, really. It's just getting back to it's getting back to the starting line of where we need to go. We still got so much to fight for, man, to make sure that our government reflects the real needs of our people and of putting policies forward that really will have an impact on the folks.
Well, Lee, we want to thank you for just joining us today here on Straight Talk. You and Bishop Lackey, you guys are unique leaders in our community. We need you. We need your voice. And I need to get your name out from over your face. We just really thank you, man, for the work that you are doing with the pastors. I said this to Lee before we got the Reverend Albert Love, who we all love, who the 23rd of this month left us last year. But he instilled so much in so many of us that we are now carrying out the love for the people. And this whole issue of voting and registering and voting, he instilled that in many of us, and we're carrying it on. And I shared this with Lee. I said, Lee, I want to thank you, and I'm thanking you now on the air, for taking on the role that Reverend Love had in terms of calling preachers together all over the state. Reverend Love had a way that he could get preachers all over the state to come together in a space to deal with the issues that's facing our people. And I want to thank you because God has given you that mantra to be able to bring the preachers, pastors from all denominations together as he did to talk about the issue and how we move forward as preachers to get things done. And I want to thank you, man.
Thank you, Lee.
Yes, thank
Well,
you.
thank you. Thank
Pastor
you all,
May.
man. Thank you. Thank you.
And what is the next step? What's the next step in terms of what you're asking?
So we've created this campaign. It really started from our work in DeKalb County with a group of about 25, 30 pastors in DeKalb for the November election. We called it DeKalb Votes Together. And essentially it was us all saying the same thing at the same time. And we believe that if we would say the same thing at the same time, we can really create the kind of impact that will make a difference in our elections. We're nonpartisan. We're not affiliated with any political candidate. We just believe when our people get out to vote, when we come out to vote, we win, hands down, right? And so that was so successful in DeKalb, we decided to expand it around the state. And so we call it now Georgia Votes Together. And so on last week, we had a all pastors call. We had nearly 100 pastors on from across the state talking about this campaign. What we've done is we've created this playbook that all we say is just run the play. You don't have to figure out what to say. You don't have to figure out when to say it or how to say it. We've written scripts, emails, text messages, scripts for robocalls, announcements for you on Sundays. We tell you what day to say what and when and how. And so we have so many pastors and churches running the play, as we say, and just implementing this playbook for this runoff election. We have our second call coming up on Wednesday for those pastors who are not able to get on that call. We're excited about that because we just want to really get as many pastors involved as possible. And we believe we're going to have about double the number of them. I believe we're going to have about 200 pastors on the call saying, yes, we want to run this play. We want to come together and really look like the church, y'all, the universal church, not just our individual churches. Individually, we do some dynamic things. You know, all of us here online right now, we all individually do some dynamic things. But when you bring us together, you all, and in unity, how good it is when brethren come together dwell in unity, you all, we can really do some phenomenal things. So this Wednesday, we're going to have that call. We're going to put the charge out, and all we're asking pastors to do is two things. Number one, say yes to joining the campaign, and then number two, to select a get out the vote coordinator for your church. Essentially, we're just going to be running a get out the vote campaign in our own churches, and we're going to help you to run that campaign. So that's what we got, man. And the more we can do that, we're really going to make a real impact on this runoff election in January.
Well, thank you so much, Lee, and we'll make sure that we put that number up. They can call you and connect with the campaign. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm going to give you an email. I'm going to give you an email that people can go ahead and email right now. It's info@georgiavotetogether.com. That's
so you rather for them to email? Let me stop right here. You rather for them to email than to call?
Email will be the easiest because
Okay,
we can deal with people in mass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get it out
info@georgiavotes with an S together.com.
Well, thank you so much, Lee, for joining us today.
Well,
thank you for the work that you're doing, man. And overlook him, he'll be all right.
We good, man. Give love to Robin.
Well, I appreciate you, Bishop Lackey, Pastor Jones, Mr. Fann. Thank you all for your friendship. Thank you for your leadership. You all are doing God's work, and I know God is pleased with the work.
Bless you, man.
Bless you, sir.
Thank you, Lee.
Bless you.
All right, Lord.
Amen.
So Bishop, you know, we had Lee with us, and he's going to leave us in momentarily. And I just wanted to just hear from you, you know, as the presiding prelate for the United Churches of God in Christ. You have, you have a large following of pastors who follow you all over the world, not just in the United States of America, but all over the world. People following you and your leadership. And I know, you know, you were the former president of the South Fulton chapter of SCOC.
Yes, sir.
And of course, you're working with us with the South Fulton Ministerial Alliance.
Yes,
and
sir.
you are part of VIC,
Yes,
Voter
sir.
Empowerment Collaborative.
Yeah,
What-
you keep me busy. I seldom have time for my own work, you know.
Bishop. But anyway, tell us a little bit about what you have been doing and sharing during this time of this pandemic in terms of ministry overall, because we haven't been able to be with the members, we haven't been able to, you know, to fellowship with them like normal. And how are you dealing with that in terms of communicating? Because a lot of pastors are having problem with that. Even though they're doing virtual this and some don't have the ability to do it, but how are you doing with it and how are you dealing with it with your organization?
Well, the way we're set up, I have what I call my executive board, and I meet with my executive board every month, and then it's my executive board that meets with a certain segment of the Board of Bishops. Each executive board member is charged with a certain amount of the bishops in different territories around the world, and so they're meeting with those bishops, and then just taking it down to tiers, and then my bishops are dealing with their superintendents and their pastors, and so it's just a message of hope, making sure the main instruction we gave this year was we were not going to have any of our convocations or denominational meetings live. They were going to be virtual, and everyone has followed suit. And I've been reading and just seeing so many denominations that have been hit so hard with deaths during this. And Bishop Fann, I mean, you've been to several of my convocations, and I just don't know how to explain this, but as of today, the day of this taping, we still have not had one death anywhere in the world because of COVID-19 in the United Churches of God in Christ. Because my leadership, they followed leadership. And one of the things we stress is we're not just in authority, but we're under authority. And so even the title they give you, you know how they call it a chief apostle. And some people think that's a mystical term, you know, but an apostle is simply a messenger. And so that term simply means they respect me as their chief messenger. And so I am so grateful that they have listened to me as I've listened to God. And we've been able to keep our global membership safe. And so that's sort of what we're doing, just going down the chain of command, making sure we're giving sound instructions based on the science, but also a message of hope, because you can't give up, man. We just cannot give up right now.
Well, you know, one of the things I want to say to you is that when you said giving them a message of hope based on the word, but also you said based on the science, that the information that the professionals are giving us in terms of masking up.
Yes, sir.
You know, masking up. I mean, and you know, social distancing. And I know you're back in your church ministry, but you still having social distancing like I am here, and other people are. And so we just thank God. We really just thank God. And I thank God for you, you know, brother, because you know you are one that really, you know, you influence a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And your lovely wife, you know, who is my best friend, by the way. Keita, you know you my best friend. I kind of tolerate him. But I just want to just say that I want to thank God for you, though, honestly, though, for your friendship and your work and your commitment to standing up for the least, the lost, and the left out. You fed a lot of people during this pandemic.
Yes, sir.
And you're getting ready for your Christmas giveaway. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're going to be giving away a wide variety of things. Actually, Saturday and Sunday. What is that? December the 12th and 13th, I believe.
That's this weekend.
This weekend coming up. I'm not sure of the day of the airing here, but
it'll be
December
tomorrow.
It'll be tomorrow. All right, so December the 12th and the 13th, we're going to be literally just giving away close to $100,000 worth of food, clothes, toys, bicycles, blankets, you name it, and a lot of things we've given away over this past year has come with government support and different grants. But this right here, this is nothing governmental.
Wow.
This is coming from my membership.
Praise God.
And a few business sponsors. Right now, as you can imagine, because of COVID, the need is so great. But the donations are coming in a little less. But God is still working it out. He's making a way. And so we're very excited, Bishop. We're just very excited about what God is doing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we're going to be right back with, you know who loves to throw people in the trash can.
Pittsburgh Steelers in the trash.
No. You can't throw 11-0 in the trash can.
Yes,
you can do 4-8. They stay in the trash can. You know, they call them the dirty birds. They dirty too.
You don't need to have that.
It's time to put them in the trash. We stood out at that White House for the longest trying to pack the president up. Man, I'm telling you, it was so much stuff up in there. We're going to have to let some professional movers pack up all that stuff that Trump has in that house, man. I'm telling you, all them lies and all the trickery and all of the hate and all the stuff. It was just too much stuff to pack up. And we ain't even talking about Melania and Barron and their stuff. So I had to leave the White House and get back to the trash truck, because we've got an issue in Georgia. And that issue in Georgia is the Senator, David Perdue. David Perdue literally refused to attend debates with John Ossoff. And people are saying, why is he not going to these debates with John Ossoff? What is he, a chicken? Is he scared? What is it? What it is this. See, folks, we don't understand it because we don't have $100 million problems. We don't have billionaire problems. But David Perdue is not a chicken. He's actually trying to make sure that he does not incriminate himself. because this man has done almost 3,000 trades since he's been in office. In one term, he's done almost 3,000 trades. Now, before you think that he's dealing with penny stocks or a little day trader, your neighbor talking about day trading and all that, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about millions of dollars in trades. And much of the information that he's received, he and Kelly Loeffler, has been the information that he hears in the committee meetings and in the hearings and in the back rooms of the United States Senate in Washington, D.C. That's why we got to deal with this billionaire class, because they don't know how much butter costs. They don't know that milk and eggs are rising. They don't know what's going on in the day-to-day. They don't know your struggle, but they know their struggle. And their struggle is to maintain power. And their struggle is to maintain their rich largesse. So the reason why David Perdue is not debating is because he don't need John Ossoff getting him off message from what he already told the FBI and the trading agencies that watch and monitor trades that these billionaires are doing. That's what's really going on. He don't want to get off message. So he'd rather you call him a chicken and let John Ossoff stand at one podium and debate an empty podium than to have a problem with those folks, those commissions that watch those trades and that will put his butt in jail. But Mr. Perdue, I don't know if you're going to jail or not, but I'll tell you where you are going. You're going in the Straight Talk trash bin. We are throwing you in the trash for the way in which you have robbed the people of Georgia of fair and good leadership, robbed the people of Georgia of being able to have COVID relief when you walked out of a meeting and relieved yourself of millions of dollars of stock and then turned around and didn't give stimulus to Georgians and Georgia businesses. What do you do with trash like that? You throw it away. David Perdue, we're throwing you in the trash. In the trash. And then we need to get that trash out of here. We need a trash truck immediately, because that Perdue trash is some funky
You're going in the trash can.
Trash.
Join us each week right here on Straight Talk with your truly Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shannon E. Jones. And again, if you'd like to be a guest, all you have to do is email us at straighttalk1362@gmail.com. Or you can call area code 404-308-0795. That's area code 404-308-0795. It's Straight Talk.
Invite your Facebook and social media friends to check us out on Straight Talk with Greg Fann.